Last week, I interviewed my CT, Janet, um, about some of the day-to-day uh, issues involved in teaching that are particularly useful to start thinking about now um, as we get ready to start our student teaching in the spring. The first thing I asked her about was um, her planning process and specifically how the SOLs factor in to her planning. Janet used to teach at a school district that had trouble passing SOLs. So the administrators there used to have the teachers write the specific SOLs on the board every day and the associated objectives, both for the students to see and for the teachers and administrators to see, just as kind of a formula for the day, what we're going to focus on, etc. Now that was a different school district and about 9 or 10 years ago. So the school Janet's at now, where I'm working with her, the school does very well in terms of SOL passing rates. So the administration doesn't harp on putting up objectives on the board every day, putting up SOLs. The teachers kind of have free reign to kind of do what they want. And these days, just having the years of experience under her belt, Janet doesn't really think about the SOLs that much when creating lessons. Like she was telling me, she just she knows what's in the SOLs. She knows what the tests are likely to have, what types of questions, content, etc. So she just kind of covers that material in the course of planning her own lessons and doesn't really center her lessons around the SOLs. She just kind of hits them in stride as she goes through her units. So that's good to know that for myself, as a pre-service teacher, that the SOLs, while they're important, they don't have to rule the way that you plan your lessons. So definitely something that makes me feel a little better going into the spring and the student teaching experience. The other big thing I asked Janet about was some of the stresses and strains of just being a teacher. Some things you encounter day to day, other things over the course of a year, what have you. The biggest thing that Janet talked about was being able to balance your teaching life in the classroom and prepping and all that with your life outside the classroom, your home life, family life, etc. And for younger teachers, I think there's a tendency to be very gung-ho. I certainly know some younger teachers, fairly new to the profession, who that's their life, and I think it's great. But at some point, life is going to catch up with you, and things like getting married, having kids, what have you, are major factors that are going to change the amount of time that you have to spend on prepping lessons and doing out-of-class work related to school. So for Janet, at least right now, that's one of the biggest stresses, is being able to balance those two very important factors in terms of spending time with her family, spending time in the classroom, or planning outside the classroom. Another major source of stress that I actually was able to witness firsthand was dealing with parents. I sat in on some parent-teacher conferences a few weeks ago and was present for a particular set of parents who just kind of exploded on Janet because they thought she was being unfair to their child. And it got to the point where Janet had to ask her to calm down, or else an administrator would be there to supervise the rest of the conference. But, it's whether you're teaching AP kids or whether you're teaching honors or regular level, you're going to be dealing with parents, and there's no way around it. So that's a huge challenge. Not something I necessarily look forward to right now, but she offered me actually some good advice for dealing with parents, and one thing was to contact parents early on and just let them know what's expected. Let them know what's going on in the class. There's another teacher that works with Janet who sends home a newsletter every 2 weeks or something like that. And that's going towards one extreme, but just keeping a constant rapport with the parents is just one way to kind of preempt, I think, parents blowing up at you. But that kind of goes along with one of the other major sources of stress that Janet mentioned to me, and that's discipline problems in the classroom. She does a good job of kind of preempting and preventing major discipline issues, behavior management issues, mainly because up front at the beginning of the year, as she told me, you have to be strict. You have to let them know what's coming, what's expected of them, and if they transgress any rules or boundaries, you have to follow through with whatever punishment or what have you that has been promised for that type of behavior. If you don't follow through, they're going to know anytime you threaten them, it's going to be an empty threat, and they're gonna test you out the first few weeks of school to see what they can get away with, see if you're actually going to stand up and follow through on your rules. So the final thing that Janet discussed with me as far as stresses of teaching is student apathy. And as we've been discussing this semester, we're not going to be teaching a bunch of mini-me's. We're going to have a lot of kids who maybe just plain don't like history, don't like social studies. So, we're going to be challenged to make it relevant to them, to their lives, to their future careers, what have you, and make it engaging. So, we might not be able to change some kids' minds about whether they like it or not, but at least you can get them thinking, maybe help them to see why history and social studies is important. So yeah, a lot of the stuff that I've talked about last week with Janet is getting me to really start thinking about student teaching in the spring, and just how I'm going to approach that. And it's all good stuff to think about for pre-service teachers. Stuff we're all going to deal with, stuff we're going to encounter soon, a couple months. So it's good to be thinking about it. And until next time.